Two men climb a lonely Brazilian hillside wearing raincoats and carrying lead masks to shield their eyes. Days later, they're found dead. No wounds, no struggle, and no explanation. What happened on that hillside remains a mystery to this very day. Tonight, we dive into the lead mask story. It began with a scream. Late in the afternoon of August 20th, 1966, an 18-year-old boy climbing Morro do Vintem froze in terror. Just ahead, lying in the grass as neatly as mannequins in a storefront window, were two bodies, perfectly arranged, side by side, as if placed there with intention. Their hands rested calmly on their stomachs. Their faces were covered by strange, metallic masks, thick slabs of hand-cut lead shaped like sunglasses, completely opaque. They weren't meant to see anything. At first, the boy thought it was a prank. Then he stepped closer. The men weren't sleeping. They weren't breathing. And there was no blood, no wounds, no signs of a fight. Just two raincoats, two lead masks, and two lifeless bodies on a silent hill. News spread fast. By the time police arrived, a crowd had already formed, whispering theories that sounded more like urban legends than reality. Radiation exposure, government tests, ritual suicide, alien contact. Nobody agreed on an explanation, but everyone agreed on one thing. The scene looked staged, deliberate, controlled. The officers examined the area carefully. No footprints leading away. No signs of animals. No scattered belongings. Everything the men brought with them was neatly placed at their side. A water bottle, a small packet of wet towels, and a notebook with a single cryptic line. Words that would only deepen the mystery. The bodies showed no decomposition consistent with violence or struggle. Their faces behind the masks appeared calm, almost serene. It was as if they had simply lain down, put on their handcrafted metal visors, and waited. But for what? This was no ordinary discovery. It was the beginning of one of the most perplexing unsolved cases in Brazil's history. A mystery that would lead police, scientists, and entire communities into a labyrinth of theories, darker than anyone expected. Two men, a mysterious errand, and a countdown ticking in the shadows. What were they rushing toward, and why? They were seen alive for the last time on August 17th, 1966, 3 days before their bodies were discovered. Manuel Pereira de Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana, two skilled electronics technicians from Campos dos Goitacazes, left their families under the pretense of buying supplies for work. But from the very start, their movements were anything but ordinary. At 2:30 p.m., they arrived in Niterói, a short bus ride from home. Their first stop was a small bar, where witnesses immediately noticed Miguel's restless energy. He checked his watch repeatedly, as if counting down to something unseen. They purchased a single bottle of water mundane on its own, yet it would later be found at their side, empty and carefully placed. From there, they bought waterproof coats, another simple purchase that, in context, suggested planning for a very specific outcome. Every action was deliberate, as though each step mattered for an event no one else could see. After leaving town, they began the climb of Morro do Vintem. Some accounts say they even hitched a ride partway up, carrying objects that reflected sunlight, a metallic glint that would later connect to their mysterious masks. Timing was precise, behavior purposeful. It was clear that whatever awaited them on the hilltop required careful preparation. By the time a boy returned days later, he would find the men laying dead, raincoats on, masks in place, and the water bottle and towels arranged beside them. Every detail of their journey, the purchases, the ascent, the vigilance, pointed to a calculated ritual, a plan that ended in tragedy. And with each new discovery, the question deepened. What exactly were they waiting for? A single note, handwritten in cryptic Portuguese, would become the key to one of the strangest deaths in Brazil, and no one could decode its meaning. Next to the lifeless bodies, police found a small notebook, its pages filled with strange instructions. 1630, be at the specified location. 1830, ingest capsules. After the effect, protect metals, await, signal mask. Words that seemed both mundane and impossible. An orderly plan that ended in death. What were the capsules? What signal were they awaiting? And why the metal masks? The raincoats and lead visors were not random. The technicians had purchased the coats earlier that day, anticipating the elements. But the masks told a different story. These crude, hand-cut slabs of lead covered their eyes entirely, shielding them from some unknown force, or perhaps from the light they were meant to witness. Investigators later found mask-making tools and lead scraps in the men's homes. They had built these masks themselves, intentionally, for reasons no one could definitively explain. Further complicating matters, the handwriting on the cryptic note did not match either man's. Someone or something had guided their actions, leaving a set of instructions they apparently followed to the letter. The meticulous placement of the water bottle, the wet towels, and the masks suggest ritual precision, a deliberate choreography ending on that hilltop. At home, the men's notebooks contained part numbers, diagrams, and passages about intense luminosity, highlighting their focus on light, blinding light, perhaps that required protection. Some theories suggest they were attempting to contact extraterrestrials or spirits, taking hallucinogenic capsules to heighten their perception. Others propose a scientific experiment gone tragically wrong. Whatever the truth, the masks and the note remain chilling evidence. Two men, fully aware of the consequences of their actions, prepared themselves for something beyond comprehension. And when the final act unfolded on Morro do Vintem, the question still haunts investigators, ufologists, and curious minds alike. What exactly were they waiting to see? The bodies told a story, but no one could read it. By the time authorities reached the hilltop, the bodies of Manuel Pereira de Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana had already begun to decompose. Days would pass before a full autopsy could be conducted, and by then, the internal organs were too deteriorated for meaningful analysis. Any chemical or toxicological evidence, substances they may have ingested during their mysterious ritual, was lost to time. The police were left with lifeless shells, masks shielding eyes that had seen something none of the living could explain. No wounds, no signs of struggle, no trauma. Nothing indicated a fight, accident, or attack. Yet the men were dead. The official cause? Cardiac failure. But without toxicology tests, there was no certainty. Had they consumed something in the cryptic capsules noted in their diary? Had a hallucinogen, a chemical experiment, or some unknown external force triggered their deaths? Investigators simply could not tell. The police were thorough but frustrated. Witness testimony hinted at strange lights, previous experiments, and even UFO sightings in the region. But evidence remained circumstantial. Their friend, Elcio, claimed the men were part of a scientific spiritualist group, experimenting with electronics and consciousness. But no material proof could confirm the claim. Mask-making tools, scattered notes, and prior experiments suggested preparation. Yet the autopsy offered no answers. Every lead seemed to evaporate into ambiguity. The official investigation, constrained by decomposed remains and cryptic clues, could neither confirm foul play nor validate paranormal claims. The hilltop became a silent witness, holding secrets that no autopsy, no police report could extract. The failure to gather complete evidence only deepened the mystery. Two men, meticulously prepared, dead under inexplicable circumstances, their final acts frozen in time, and the world left wondering, what did they encounter, and why did it end in death? Explosions in the sky, cryptic instructions, and two men prepared to meet the unknown. What really happened on Morro do Vintem? Theories surrounding the deaths of Manuel Pereira de Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana are as strange as the evidence itself. Their friend Elcio claimed the men were members of a scientific spiritualist group, experimenting with electronics and consciousness to contact spirits, or perhaps extraterrestrial intelligence. Weeks before their deaths, experiments in a backyard garden had ended in a small explosion. hinting that the men were not afraid to tinker with the unknown. On June 13th, 1966, witnesses reported a spectacular explosion over the nearby coast, describing a fiery object crashing into the sea. A blinding light followed by a tremor that shook buildings 15 kilometers away. The link between these events and their final journey to Morro do Vintem has fueled decades of speculation. Other explanations are more grounded. Perhaps the men ingested psychoactive capsules to heighten perception, miscalculating the effect on their hearts. Raincoats and lead masks may have been protective measures for a chemical or spiritual experiment, something their electronics background might have inspired. Some police investigators even floated mundane theories: smuggling electronics, secret experiments, or misadventure. But the evidence, cryptic as it is, never conclusively supports one claim over another. And yet, multiple UFO sightings that night add an unsettling dimension. Residents described glowing objects hovering above the hill, strange rays of light, and sudden, unexplainable explosions. Was this an encounter with something beyond Earth? Or simply a coincidence layered over a tragic miscalculation? Decades later, the deaths remain unsolved. The masks, the notes, the precision of their movements, and the lack of forensic clarity leave questions that refuse to be answered. 2 men prepared, 2 men disappeared, and the world is left to ask, were they reaching for spirits, seeking extraterrestrial contact, or simply victims of their own obsession? Whatever the truth, the hilltop on that August day in 1966 holds secrets that continue to defy explanation. The hilltop at Morro do Vintem remains silent, yet its story speaks louder than ever. 2 men, meticulously prepared, followed cryptic instructions, donned lead masks, and ascended into mystery, only to be found dead, with no wounds, no struggle, and no clear cause. Every clue, the water bottle, the towels, the handmade masks, the notebook, points to intention, yet the truth remains elusive. Was it a ritual, a scientific experiment gone wrong, or an encounter with forces beyond comprehension? Investigators, friends, and witnesses have pieced together fragments, but the puzzle refuses to resolve. The masks shielded eyes that saw something the world can only imagine. If this story unsettled you or made you question the limits of human understanding, like, subscribe, and comment your theories below. And as always, don't forget to look beyond the fog.